It's my phone charger. I got plenty of room to play Homescapes on.
Yeah, but I was gonna say, what if you're using it too much and the battery runs out?
It's okay. Jared, aren't you supposed to be clinking bottles right now?
No, that's a different live show. Hello, everybody. Hello. Hello.
Hi. Hey there.
We are as wired tight as we've ever been, ladies and gentlemen.
Pretty much.
But we made it. We made it. We are not going to see Jason on this episode. He will be missed.
Yeah, plans.
Yeah. Plans. He did. Jason had plans. All right. So this is going to be the three of us. Oh, welcome Matt Poster to the chat. And
Just
clinking bottles aren't too far away. We got clinking bottles in 2 days.
Building those castles in the sky. I have not read. I have not read that. So I'll get it done.
I haven't read the New Warriors book yet either, so I plan on doing that today.
Which one are we on? 42?
I don't know. I sent you the graphic for it. I made the graphic and I couldn't tell you what I put on there. Could be anything. Welcome to the well-oiled machine that is the Longbox Crusade, ladies and gentlemen.
I haven't read Centurion.
Well, you're gonna just make it up. Just guess. At what you just guess at what you think. Oh my goodness. All right, we are rolling. So Delvin's over there, look at crazy eyes. He's wearing the glasses. I'm over there trying to enjoy myself on Instagram. He's shirtless, wrapped in a towel. It's a hard life. I want to welcome Kathy to the chat.
Podcasting ain't easy.
Can I not take a picture on Instagram with my shirt off, Jared?
I mean, you can.
Ooh, thirst trap.
You can.
I didn't see that. Hold on.
It was not a thirst trap. What is wrong with y'all? My goodness.
And welcome, Jim. And as everyone checks their Instagram to check it on,
the Instagram.
We will
Twitter. No, Instagram.
It's on the gram. You won't miss it. It probably has one of those warnings on it that you're gonna have to click.
Yeah, that's Delvin's spicy site.
Yes, spicy site of Delvin. Me and
anyways, we're gonna do stuff. It's me, Death Probe here,
Ice
DJ Cristados,
my nipples
and Brown Sugar down there. He got a new nickname this week.
Chocolate Phone.
I didn't actually say yes to that being my nickname, Jared.
You said not no though.
I thought maybe you're getting the chocolate fountain out early for the Christmas.
Anyways, let's do a show.
We can do that.
Let's do exactly that.
I will. I'm seeing names that are coming up. I've written 3 down so far, even though 18 have watched. But I only have 3 names so far. I got the MVP. I got Matt Passo. I got Jim Neal. Jim Neal, who came and helped it on Transformers Chronicles, episode 41. Still waiting to get 50 out of the chute, but that should be coming soon.
I would imagine so, since I was asked to make the thumbnail for it this week, and I did.
For Transformers 50?
50.
Yeah. I try to work ahead, Delvin. That way I'm not scrambling.
Yep, I made the thumbnail for 50.
All I do is scramble.
For 50. I tell you what, if those people who joined us,
we got a lot of people watching us.
I'll show them. We'll do a preview of 50.
BD.
What the thumbnail looks like. I'll upload it right now. Yes, I will.
All of you out there watching, get in the chat, and whether on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, wherever else we are at. Yeah, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. We are at somewhere. Get in the chat and say hello.
We're somewhere. All right, here it is. Boom. Look for it soon.
Oh.
You got to work on that spelling though.
With me.
No. No, he does.
Yeah, we got to work on that Buddy Ansky spelling. BUDIANSKI.
Well,
yeah,
that's how he spells it.
That's not who spells it.
Budiansky. Yeah, that's how the way you just spelled it is how he spells it.
Yeah, but what's with the on the?
I know that's how I spell it,
Oh,
not how he spells it.
you've got to spell it how he spells it. Jared.
Well, here's the thing. That's a
Tell-
non-editable image. So
Well, tell him what he told me. Tell him what he told me.
that's not what I told
That is
you.
not what he told me. Okay. We'll get it. We'll get that sorted as well. Looking forward to it. We had Bob Buddy Ansky on the show. It was cool. He was cool. It was very nice talking with him.
Yeah, keep chatting up over there, folks.
Oh,
Okay.
Are you
Keep
doing
the chat going?
Okay.
How's the chat doing? How's everybody in the chat today?
It wasn't good enough for some people that I made a thumbnail for him. He had to criticize it immediately. So I'm fixing it.
That wasn't me, Jared. That wasn't
I'm
me.
fixing it right now.
That wasn't me.
No, it was me. Because I wanted to make sure that the wonderful product that Jared put out was absolutely
top notch. Yep.
Top notch.
Sending you a website called makeyourown.thumbnails.com is what I'm sending.
Is it a pay site? Does it have?
Yeah, it is.
It
does. It does.
Let's see. Hold on. Auburn Elvis has joined the chat as well. You guys hopefully are also watching the Olympics closing ceremonies, like my mother and is on in the other room.
Oh
no,
she's huge. Mom's is huge into the Olympics. I was huge into watching the USA men kick some butt yesterday against France. France was like, "Oh, we want to play basketball so hard," and then they were like, "Oh, man!" It was awesome. And then the French ladies try to go up against the U.S. women. They're like, "Oh, we're gonna keep it close," and it's like, "Well, that's cute. That's so cute. Go ahead and take this L, France, USA."
Is that how it's spelled?
I mean, if I say no, you're gonna say that I'm being critical.
I don't know. Is that you need to tell me because that's how I just edited it.
Hold on.
Oh, you're quick to tell me how it wasn't spelled, but you won't tell me how it is spelled.
Well, I actually did tell you how it was spelled, and you didn't listen.
Well, you obviously didn't listen either.
Buddy Ansky is spelled Budiansky.
Good Lord,
that's how it was.
Real name.
That's how it was.
No, it
wasn't. It was not.
I've absolutely had my fill of this damn thumbnail. Yes, I have. And no matter this update right here that I'm doing right now, it will be the last. I don't care. And we're done. All right.
I got a question though, Jared.
No. No. See, this is why you need a guy like Hama to be your writer. That's how you get a good toy-based comic. It's easy to spell.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. What you saying? Transformers wasn't a good toy-based comic. That's what you're saying?
All right.
Are we on
No, I'm not.
I'm sending the
I'm stuck in the middle.
I'm stuck in the middle. This is good live stream.
I would sit this one out, Pat. I would. Like me and Jared are about to fight. Matt did have a pretty good question though. Did he
I'm stuck in the middle.
Right, forward or backwards?
All right.
Stuck in the middle.
Clowns to the left, you jokers to the right.
Oh. All right. I sent it to you, Pat.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what I do. All right.
Thanks for the great job that you do, Jared.
Yeah, Jared.
I love you.
Oh, wait. I want to do this. I'm going to send you another one, Pat.
Okay. It's probably a bad spelling one then.
Yeah. Changed his first name to Enrique. Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
We are going to do a Longbox Crusade eventually.
And Jared's going to host it.
Eventually.
So while we're waiting, who's going to be at DragonCon?
I will.
Who's going to be at DragonCon, Pat? I'm Mr. Quick to correct today.
Yeah.
I
see that. Yeah. So
there.
So I know
right.
Jared will be there. Mm-hmm. I am going to be there.
I didn't commit, so I guess I'm not going to be there.
Kathy will be there.
Kathy
I'm
will
pretty
be-
sure she's got I remember her complaining about not getting the hotel she wanted. So
Oh,
I saw Auburn Elvis mention something about being there in some kind of a suit because he's going to some character that I didn't understand. And there you have it.
Interesting.
Oh, my.
Oh. Let's see. We're going to go to Longbox Crusade on Twitter as well. And the Doing It live stream. You're probably going to hear noise at first. Nope, it's muted. It automatically muted already. So you don't have to hear that normal noise that I'll do and then have to act like nothing happened. Hey, all right. I've got all the names. Jared's going to start us on...
My other favorite thing that I did was prepare a image of the comic. And who wants to guess at where that image got saved to? Because any guess is good. Because it's not where I thought it was. Welcome to the greatest live stream we've ever had, ladies and gentlemen.
We are a well-oiled machine. And we're looking for more subscribers. So if you like this tomfoolery,
if you like the quality content we're putting out right now.
I mean, right now.
Like right now. Like good gravy. This couldn't get any stupider today. Nothing like going out of your way to have something prepared and then it's just not there. So all right. Sure. I'll go grab another image.
For the Centurions?
Yeah.
I thought it was out there in the share folder.
You tell me which folder the image is in.
It's in the Google Share, where you put the other ads.
Okay, all right.
Why don't I get off Transformers Chronicles? I can help you out here.
That's quite all right. I'm getting it. Here's hoping this is episode 47.
You mean of the Centurions? Yeah, the cover of Centurions 1 is in the Longbox Crusade folder of episode 47.
I love it. Interesting that I found every image of the ads, but
yeah, that's interesting.
But the Centurions overlay,
hard to find, huh?
It's more like over nay, right? Am I right? Is this thing on? I was like, It's like over nay.
Yeah, exactly.
Just making sure that people caught the intricacies of this. Let's go. Let's do a show.
All right, let's do it.
So
we're ready for real. It only took us 13 minutes to get here.
No, that's okay. That's pretty much like an average intro and, come out to play. We're talking about God knows what, and people still listening to the show. So.
Oh, Lordy. Nothing like being prepared and then not being prepared. I don't know how that happened. But hey, if we need to look at any of the ads close up, I can bring those in pretty quick. All right. Here we go. You're listening to the Longbox Crusade podcast, episode 47, featuring Centurions #1, cover dated June 1987. Hello and welcome to the 47th episode of the Longbox Crusade. I am your host, Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist. Some know me as Death Probe. Some know me as Brown Sugar. I'm just kidding. That's not one of my still.
It's totally one of his.
Oh, I knew you as that.
Okay. Well, cool. Anyways, in case you're asking yourself, what's this show all about? Well, it's a show where each episode or random cover month and year is selected. And then we bring an issue from one of the Longbox Crusaders collections to talk about it. This time around, it was my turn. I grabbed from my Longbox Centurions #1, The Power Extreme. We're going to talk about, oh goodness, of course, the issue. And then we're going to reminisce about when the book was out, when, what ads were in it, what music was popular, what movies were popular, what was in the news. It's going to be a good time. I'm going to throw the boys a curveball because usually we introduce ourselves with what crusade we're on in 10 words or less, but I'm mixing it up this time. I want you to introduce yourself And since we're doing the Centurions Power Extreme, I want you to share with our listening audience what one of your very favorite 80s toy properties is. And you cannot use G.I. Joe or Transformers. Anything else goes.
That's blasphemy.
Well, since you're on the mic,
I'm good.
Since you're on the mic, we're going to introduce Pat, DJ Cristado, Samson. Welcome back to the Longbox Crusade. Oh. What toy property of the 80s are you going with that is not G.I. Joe or Transformers?
Oh, boy. There's so many to choose from, actually, that are all really good. Mm-hmm. But the first one that just came to my mind is Mask.
Oh, Mask. Yep. Yeah. We did we covered a Mask.
We covered
issue,
a Mask.
Yep. Maybe 2 years ago, I feel like. About 2 years ago.
It was a while ago.
Yeah.
We did. Yep. Yeah.
Did Captivating Kathy Bright like help edit that episode or something? Like, I want to say she helped out behind the scenes on the Mask episode.
On one of them, yeah, she did. Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
I like that toy line. It was fun because they had vehicles and then they had guys that had these cool helmets and they did things and they had vehicles and they had cool helmets. Yep.
I'm down with Mask. I am down with it. Now let's see who is down with what when it comes to Delvin the Dark Web. Williams, welcome back to Longbox Crusade, Delvin.
Thanks for having me, Brown Sugar. I am probably gonna say let's go with the Thundercats.
Ho!
Hey-o!
I always wonder, like, how badly do Wile E. Cat and Wile E. Kit hate Lion-O? It's like how come he got to mature and we didn't get to mature and we're just stupid kids and he's all like grown and handsome and gets to play with the big sword and be the big hero and we're just stupid kids.
The same way we feel about Alan Porter. How come he got to mature?
I thought he was mature all the time. It's like I don't think he's ever had a good face.
Well, we have a few people chime in from the chat. Matt Passo says Spiral Zone. I remember that. And Inhumanoids. Auburn Elvis asked, do Legos count? They absolutely do count. There's a timeless toy right there. Jim Meal chipped in with some Mask. Captivating Kathy Bright said Care Bears or Smurfs. Matt Passo asked the question to Delvin. No GoBots? I think now.
Yeah, why would I want to go with fake Transformers? I mean, have some respect.
You know, there's so many to choose from. I'm going to give honorable mentions to Real Ghostbusters, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I'm going to throw out an obscure one for a toy line that I really like that I don't know if a lot of people are even going to remember. It's called Army Ants. I loved Army Ants.
They were
about maybe 2 inches tall, and there was the blue army and the orange army. And they were cartoony ants, but they actually like had military weaponry, like a flamethrower, and there was like a helicopter one, and grenades, and all kinds of stuff. I loved Army Ants. So that is your walk down toy memory lane. Now, of course, we invite you, the listener, to be part of the show by submitting your comments and memories, which may be featured on a future show. You can reach out to us on Facebook, Instagram, X, YouTube. It's all at Longbox Crusade. And of course, the most fun way to do it is to leave us a voicemail at 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX. And we hope you come along on this crusade to read them all. Now, before we get started with this episode's issue, let's take a quick podcast promo break. Maybe we'll be back after the promo, maybe not. Who knows?
Pick up the phone.
Pick up the brown sugar.
Sprinkle it. Sprinkle. Just seeing Dylan do this was awesome.
Yes, that's why you come to the live stream for that. Just a little funny. Extra.
Oh, that got me.
All right, let's come back for the break. Delvin's got things to do today. Now, before we get started with this episode's issue review, let's take a quick podcast promo break. I already read that. All right, let's do it. Welcome back from the break. Today's issue from the Longbox is the aforementioned Centurions #1, cover dated June 1987. The credits for this issue are provided by Mike's Amazing World. The comic title is, in case you missed it, Centurions #1. Publisher is DC. Cover date, once again, June 1987. Although it was on sale March 26, 1987. Cover price is 75 cents. Editor is Jonathan Peterson. Writer is Bob Rozakis. Penciler is Don Heck. Inker is Alve. Letterer is Augustin Moss. And the colorist is Thomas J. Zuko. Cover credits go to Kevin C. Nolan. Speaking of the cover, you want to hear a description? Here I go. The DC Bullet logo is reddish orange with white highlights. The Centurions title font is also a reddish orange, but with black highlights. A title banner above the logo states, "The team of the future is now." And another blurb tells us that this is the first issue of a 4-issue miniseries. The main action is an introduction of each of the 3 main characters, each in their own element. Ace McCloud flies just above the sea where Max Ray is diving, and off to the left, Jake Rockwell fist pumps from the mountains. All right, guys, it's time to talk about what we thought of the cover. We'll start with Delvin.
It's not a bad cover. Why did I think that Centurions was going to be a Marvel property? I don't know. For some reason, I just felt like
it was like the 80s. If you had a toy line,
Yeah.
like you just I think they gave you some dice and you rolled it and it told you it was going to be Marvel or DC. I don't know.
Yeah, for some reason, I just thought it was going to be a Marvel property. I don't know why. And now I can't think of what other toy properties did DC do. Did DC do any other toy properties?
I think they had the aforementioned Spiral Zone that Matt mentioned, because I have some Spiral Zones and I want to say they're DC. Feel free to correct in the chat if you need to there, Matt. We'd love to hear from you. And welcome Jason Keene. He might have snuck in. I didn't notice. Cops, Mask.
Yeah. There were several. But I think you're right, though. And I think Marvel may have had a hand in a lot more 80s,
I am not
remembering
Spiral Zone at all. Like, for some reason, me and my theme songs. I remember Cops. Dun, 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 dun. Why do I remember that? I don't know. I guess I have a head for remembering that type of stuff. And I'm not describing the cover at all, so I should probably do that. I like it. It's a good cover. Like, whoever did the cover did a good job. I got the idea very quickly that you had your air guy, that you had your land guy, and that you had your sea guy. So I was like, that's cool. I thought they were well drawn. You got an idea that they had some cool armor, and some stuff going on there. And it didn't look like many shortcuts were taken on the cover. So overall, it's a good plus for me, especially if I were somebody who were big in collecting the Centurions. And I saw this, I'd be like, this is cool. And probably would give it a try.
Yeah, the cover artist was, again, Kevin Nolan. And I knew that was a name I'd heard before, so I did a little digging on him. That dude has been in the industry forever. And as I was reading up on him, he's known as, in the industry, as an artist. Like the other artists really like and appreciate Nolan because apparently he can do a lot of different styles. And he can tailor just a lot of different styles and looks depending on the property. And if you go look at his art, which I did, I went down that rabbit hole. Yeah, the dude can do almost anything. And so it was neat to read the behind the scenes that he's sort of people in the industry are in awe of his ability to just shift gears like that. And if you notice the Centurions is very slick. This cover is very slick and streamlined. And I think he might have done his own inks and color on this as well. Can't prove that. But yeah, apparently has a great reputation behind the scenes. But it's time for Pat to talk about the cover.
All right, well, let's talk about it a little bit. I am going to do just a little bit of nitpick on this one, as that when we get to is it Jake, the ground guy, right?
Jake Rockwell.
Yeah, we'll get into that later on too, but I think he's got the same kind of color variations as the sea guy, Max. And I think Jake should have his tone should be a little more.
Yes, he should be in brown tones.
Brown tone.
Yeah.
But I'm
totally
wondering,
that.
Yeah, he should be brown with the kind of yellowy highlighting that's kind of there. So where the green is, that should be a little more brown. But I'm wondering if they did that maybe because of the brown in the land that's kind of there right now,
maybe.
Yeah. But that was the only thing that was kind of throwing me off, because I was looking like, no, I don't remember that guy being that way, because I had the toys. I had Ace and I had the Max guy. I don't know if I still got them. I'd have to look around.
Oh,
but
wow. I'd be really impressed if you do. Ironically, by the way, Pat, the only one I had was Jake Rockwell. So you and I should have played together.
I thought they were cool. You know, I enjoyed the cartoon and the toys are really cool, but we can, we'll get into that later on. But I think you're right. This is a good representation of who the Centurions kind of are. You know, it's three guys that have, of course, power extreme. You're on mute.
Yes, I was scrolling because I actually asked our ex Twitter audience for their thoughts on Centurions that I'm going to share later in the show. And much like everything else on the show, I can't find it. Oh, there it is. I found it. So we will share that. We actually got a fair amount of replies on people's thoughts on that. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys later in the show. But
one more thing, as you talked about, and you brought it up in the beginning with toys from the 80 properties, and then Delvin brought it up too with, just all these different, whether it was Marvel or DC. Man, the 80s were such a great time for this kind of stuff. I love going back and looking at these time capsule of toy cartoons and just anything from back then that they turned into a comic. So you have that little time capsule to go back to and reminisce about these things.
Yeah, you don't see it a lot anymore. Like the 80s was definitely the highlight of like, let's launch a toy with a comic, with a cartoon, like sort of an all fronts, sort of marketing blast, if you will. So, yeah. Good point, Pat. Well, let's get into the story synopsis. And guess what? I'm going to read that too. I'm reading like everything on the episode today. Get used to this voice. The title is Time Bomb. In this very getting to know the characters first issue, the team fights off some of Dr. Terror's, that's his name, Dr. Terror, Dr. Terror's robot enemies in Alaska, but discovers that Terror has forced some of the indigenous Eskimos to be cyborgs on his behalf. The team takes an unwitting cyborg back to their base in hopes that their leading support lady and her team can separate the man from the machine. Meanwhile, Terror. I made up my own word here. I made a verb called terror fires because I didn't put a space in it. Anyway, let's try that again. Meanwhile, Doc Terror fires three large rockets to various places on Earth and issues a countdown, letting the Centurions know that when the timer hits 0, a huge EMP blast will engulf the Earth. GoldenEye. Shockingly, each of the three rockets goes to a place that makes the most out of each of the Centurion's specialties. Each of our heroes travels to their respective rocket, wins the battle, and discovers that each rocket base was just a time-wasting ruse. Max Ray solved the mystery first, realizing that the cyborg Eskimo was never really a man at all, and he's the bomb. Quick thinking and a lot of bravery sees Max teleport the man bomb into space and return just before the exposure to outer space can kill Max. And the bomb explodes in outer space, harming no one. Whew. All right. Let's talk about the story. Pat, you go first this time. What'd you think of this, as I called it in the description, this very getting to know your heroes issue?
Yeah. Yeah, I would say this issue reminded me of, again, the typical 80s cartoon thing that you would have. It's that gathering the team together and then separating because there's some MacGuffin that they have to figure out or do. And so you had to go to 3 because there's 3 characters. You had to go to 3 different sites so they can kind of highlight their
one in ability. The air, one in the water, one
on the ground. Oh, imagine that. And their names, Ace McCloud. Well, he ain't the guy in the water. And Rockwell, he's not, it's like, I think it's fun and interesting that they did all that. And I think it was a good story overall. It brought me back to remembering the Centurions fondly, because it would be something that I would, run home from school, get home at 3:30, the bell's out. I'm racing home to, make sure I can watch the next hour and a half of whatever cartoons that were on. And, you were lucky if you could fake being sick. So you were there like earlier on, you weren't missing at 3:00, 2:00. How many kids, come on, how many of you didn't fake being sick from school? And you knew that, well, if I start to feel better, I'd be able to at least say, can I watch some cartoons in the afternoon? If I feel better, okay, I'll eat that. Yeah, I'll take that medicine. You had to drink that crappy medicine that didn't.
Yeah, because back then, like medicine now tastes like candy. Medicine back then tastes like vegetables.
Yeah, I'll take that cough syrup. But oh man, it's such great memories of this and some of the properties back then. But the story-wise, I thought it was pretty good. It was one of those, again, let's get the team together. We'll go through it all. Here's the villain. You didn't really see a lot of Dr. Terror, right? So there's some build-up to who that guy is and what's going on, along with his kind of henchman guy. They're a little more robotic-y, and obviously they try to take up part of half of their bodies with mechanical stuff that's happening. And so I like that aspect of it. You see, even hints of Terminator a little bit in those kind of thoughts with the Centurions, at least on that side, where the three Centurion guys, they're just guys in suits and things plug into them on their suits. They can get out of those suits. That were really cool. And the other story is, let's talk about it with Ace and him trying to get the girl.
Whoever wrote this book definitely knew military culture and knew how the pilots acted.
Yeah.
Yeah, pilot. You want to go on a date with me? Girl, no. Pilot, she wants me.
20 minutes later, how about you go on a date with me? No.
She wants me more.
Yeah, and that's a neat thing you brought up, Pat, because I always felt like in the advertising and stuff, like Ace McCloud was sort of front and center, but in this story, I feel like they're really pushing Max Ray.
Yeah.
He's
sort of smart guy.
The guy. Yeah.
It's
interesting, I thought. I'm
trying to think of the cartoon. Who were some of the voices? Because like when I'm hearing, like Ace and that, I'm picturing like A-Team voice, the guys from A-Team. And I'm picturing like Face from A-Team doing this Ace McCloud's voice, or there's a guy that's out there that, you could always tell that he'd be that, that guy that's I'm the cool hero guy that everybody wants to be, and I'm going to get all the ladies and chicks and
Ace.
Yeah.
You name your kid Ace McCloud. You've set him up for this lifestyle.
Yeah.
You can't exactly. If you met somebody and they shook their hand, or you shook their hand, and they're like, "My name is Ace McCloud," you're probably in the back of your head already like, I mean, I'm just saying, nobody, jackass. Like, your name is not Ace McCloud. That is not your actual name.
Well, Delvo, you've got the mic. Your thoughts on this premiere issue of Centurions?
I swear, I grew up in the 80s. Like, I'm 47 years old. Why don't I remember the Centurions cartoon or anything like that? I don't. I do not. But I can tell you, like, just as a story, the plot held. I liked it. It's like, and yeah, it's like, as Pat mentioned, and he's correct, like, I sent, 3 different locations, and then one was air, one was land, one was sea. Yes, a little bit contrived, but that's okay. I can get past that. Like, they all took care of their situation smartly, and I was kind of like, thinking, well, where's the real bomb? And then, they figured out, it's like, oh, our ship that we're on, it's the bomb, or whatever. It's like, I like that. That's a good plot. That's a good story. And I like the idea of how the Centurions, had this modular armor, because that's what it came down to. They all were kind of different forms of like an Iron Man of sorts, of where they could like get certain gear teleported to them and have to put on certain types of gear, or they might think that they were going to launch into this type of battle, like like Ace had to. He thought that he needed this type of weaponry, but as it turned out, he needed this other type, and so he just made do. So that was kind of cool. I like the idea of it. It was a good idea, and I'm surprised that it didn't have more legs than it did. Like, when I get done talking, I'm going to go to imdb.com real quick, because I want to see how long Centurions lasted as a cartoon, unless it's just something that you know automatically. Do you know that by any chance, Jared?
I don't. I know it got a DVD set. I feel like it's probably 1 or 2 seasons, to be honest with you. But yeah, you'd have to let us know.
I think,
Centurions, I found it. It only lasted 1 season, but 65 episodes.
Oh, wow.
Right, yeah, this back in the day when they just crank them out.
Yeah, when it was on, it was on. 65 episodes. So that gives you a lot of time to get to understand these characters. And honestly, I could see that this, that it could have a little bit of legs on it, because heck, if they could have thought of, I don't know what toy brand came out with it, but tell me you couldn't fuse all 3 of these characters into like G.I. Joe.
Yeah, or they fit nicely in there, or with mask, or only problem with the toys is the scale's off.
yeah, they're a lot taller
like
guys.
9-inch figures, I think.
But you think about it, it was like a boy's I'm going to say a doll, right? It was like a boy's doll, or a Barbie, where you could buy this Barbie figure, and then what they would do is they would sell the add-ons, the accessories to get plugged into the guys. So every time they called out a different armory or whatever, you could go get that armory set and then plug that into your Ace guy, or your Rockwell guy, and things like that. So I thought that was a pretty cool way of doing it.
It's also worth noting, just very quickly, Jared and Pat, Centurions on imdb.com, 2,205 people gave it a rating, and it averaged at 7.6. So pretty well regarded cartoon.
Pretty decent stories then too,
Yeah.
Wow.
Definitely a cool toy. And I agree with you guys wholeheartedly on your story synopsises. I of course chuckled and even put it in my recap of the convenience of the bad guy going, let me make sure you get to know all your heroes in there. But as I mentioned before, the big kind of surprise to me was them really sort of focusing on Max Ray as the hero. Like, his big bold move at the end was like pretty gutsy. He had all the bravery to go out into just outer space. Like, I'm going to blink out there. You need to blink me back real fast, or else I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Check
out the brain on Max.
That's right. And I think it probably would be great for our listening audience to know that.
Did Jared freeze?
I don't know. Did he? Maybe.
Looks like he did. I was like, is it me who froze?
Yeah.
No, it's my computer. It loves to just do that. I'm going to drop out for 2 seconds thing. I can hear you guys when it's going on. It's just.
So where to leave off, Pat?
He left up at to know this, and then like you had us in suspension. You had us in suspension.
It's good for our listeners to know this, that even though Ace McCloud comes on a little strong with Crystal, that she tricks him into kissing a monkey. And I think that's important for them to know.
That was hilarious. Like that whole bit where, like, he was coming on and like she was like, no. He's like, yeah, come on. No, like, all right, close your eyes. And then like they had some line. I think Ace told like one of the other guys that like the only girls that he gets are rejects from like the Miss Ugly USA competition.
There were some bad, or some, just, I was like, oh man, but
so it had some funniness in it for sure. And no, it wasn't like,
it's a very 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, very 80s writing indeed. I can't wait to find out how many more times my computer's going to randomly drop me out.
It's good old technology. We're good, man.
I just love it. It's just like, hey, here's a quick reminder that I'm going to drop you out for about 15 seconds. Okay.
We'll be taking Crusader Club money to fly Jason out to help.
Yeah, I need Jason with support. It's really quite bizarre because it tries to go on to my Wi-Fi even though I'm hardwired. I'm like, why? Anyway, let's get back to the show. All right, let's talk about pages of interior art. And I would like to remind everyone this was drawn by the legendary Don Heck, who did a lot of early Avengers work. He was co-creator in a lot of those early Avengers characters that you guys know and love. And they bring in the Heck Man to introduce the Centurions. So, who's got a favorite page? I see people flipping pages, looking pages, see looks, expressions. Delvin's not sure yet. Pat's looking. Well, let me just make it easy for you guys. I think the easy win here, and I'll just bring it up right now, is page 1, which I will, I guess, attempt to share with the audience. Whoop. We got to get rid of the overlay, though, momentarily. Page 1's pretty cool because it has all 3 guys saving the Eskimos, and there's a battle going on. And I always like the sort of classic. I think of it as almost a late 60s, early 70s thing where you get the little headshots on the side. So I like page 1.
Yeah, that's not a bad one at all.
I'll go with that. And like, you know what? I don't care about being PC. It's done hell. You know, like I'm just gonna go into. Don't have to be all PC.
Yeah, I'm gonna give with Delvin. Heck yeah, I'm all out on that page 1.
Yeah, page 1.
Yeah, it is. I just flipped through it all, and I think page 1 was pretty good because then it breaks it up later through the story, like we went through. That you had Ace moment, you had Jake's moment, you had Max's moment. Even the Crystal and her baboon, her orangutan had moments. And then I really forgot about her. I'm like, oh, they have like a helper. And I thought that was cool.
It was very Challengers of the Unknown with the boys club and then like the girl helper.
Yeah, very smart scientific girl that she knows everything, and which is great.
Yeah. Crystal could hold her own against a guy like Ace. That's for sure. All right. So Don Heck did a good job. And by the way, for you listeners out there, this is one of those books that has a lot of panels per page. A lot of panels per page, because I think they're trying to introduce everybody and tell a story all at once. And I think probably the best thing that it did overall, in my opinion, is while it was a neat getting to know your heroes book, it really whetted my appetite for the next 3 issues of the miniseries, because it kind of ends with a clean slate. Like, where are we going to go from here? Obviously, Dr. Terror is going to shenanigans and stuff, but I feel like they probably did this. I'm just guessing. And then after this was probably 3 issues of probably a 3-issue story arc, if I was doing this.
Yeah. I want one more thing I wanted to add. It was kind of cool. It was a little bit of, what's that joke from Anchorman or whatever? Like he's saying something like one guy says, "I bit a man's penis off," and then it's like, "Don't worry, it was in international waters. It was okay." Like a little bit of just weird legalese. It was like Dr. Terror had his island that was somewhere, and they're like, "Well, nope, you can't attack the island because technically speaking, it's a sovereign nation." And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because they're like, we just want to teleport to. Why can't we go to where the bad guy is and boom, take him out? It's like, The comic books version of the Geneva Convention here lies in place. So I was like, yeah. So I did like that though. It at least gave a pseudo plausible reason as to why they couldn't just immediately go and take out Dr. Terror. And also I get the feeling that Dr. Doom, like Marvel, they're looking at Centurions like, you better not. Then half his face is mangled too. Like, you are treading dangerously close.
Yeah, thin ice, mister.
And his name is Vector. His name is
this was about the time 87, Pat. I want to say that Marvel G.I. Joe beat them a little bit to Cobra Island. Remember, Cobra got its own.
Yep.
Its own
sovereign.
Sovereign nation.
He's got his own sovereign nation island, and I'm like, oh.
It's probably right next to Cobra Island. like Trinidad and Tobago. It's Cobra and Dr. Terror.
They got a little theme park in between them both, and you just have some fun. Come on down to Dr. Doom or Dr. Terror and Cobra Island and have some fun with us. Their little boat that, cruise in between them, and then you got some Love Boaty kind of theme going on.
That's all.
I'm going off. I got ideas. I got crazy ideas.
That's all in on this idea. All right. Usually we go to bring back any memories, and we will do that in just 1 second. But I wanted to share with you the thoughts of the people that chimed in when I posted that we were going to be covering Centurions and what their thoughts were on the 80s toy property in general. We heard from our old friend Kirk Spencer. He said, I never had the toys. I don't remember ever seeing the show until years later. I think it was part of the Boomer action on Boomerang block when I finally saw it. I did collect the comics and I liked them. And to this day, I don't feel DC gets enough credit for their 80s toy line comics. Some guy named Serpy Matt, which sounds like a made up name to me, said Centurions was a fun line. I definitely like the heroes more than the villains, which is odd for me. If you know him, he likes his villains. I still want to track down at least the helmets for my vintage Jake, Ace, and Max. And he shared pictures of them, and everybody doesn't like him because he's a show off. All right. Now that's our buddy Matt. He's got a cool collection, and he makes a good point, and somebody later on might echo this, but I really feel like in the Centurions toy line, they put all their energy into making like the 3 really good toys. So like you said, Pat, they could sell add-on packs or whatever, and didn't give as much love to the villains.
Yeah, I think that there was only the 2 guys, Terror and the other guy. But then they had like these, they showed them in the drones or whatever that they would have too. I remember those were kind of a toy too, because it was just a drone thing. And then I think that came apart too, because you could put pieces onto that drone, or you could connect the bad guy to that drone too.
Oh, okay. I only had Jake Rockwell, so you know more than me.
Well, I had a few. I had those guys, but I didn't have a villain. But of course, in the neighborhood where I was, the kids that were around, somebody had something. If one of us didn't have something, somebody else got the other thing, and that's how I knew. Okay,
all right. A couple more chimes in from our awesome followers on the X Twitter. Sideburned Menace says, "Holy crap! I forgot all about this. I think I saw like one episode somewhere on Cartoon Network, but it has always stuck with me." Friend of the show, Aaron Bossig, says, "Way too expensive for my family, and it seemed like that was the case for everyone, except for Matt Passo. Got all 3.
Matt's always got the toys."
You know what, though? Like that Jake Rockwell I had, I bought on the secondary, surprise, yard sale artist, right? But I bought it on the secondary market. I don't remember where, but I had it as a kid, but I didn't get it new in box. I know that much. I probably stole it from some other kid's shed.
another shed somewhere down the street or whatever.
Our old friend Louise.
Oh, yeah.
You know Louise from Columbia. He said, I had the green one. He came with a submarine and plenty of accessories. I was too young to appreciate it back then. Vader Review says, I loved this show as a kid. I watched it on Cartoon Network in 1996. I just seen Star Wars and I was obsessed with any cartoon that had sci-fi elements. I still remember Ace getting into a street fight with a knockoff lightsaber in one episode, and Max Ray was my favorite. Scored to Death said, great figures. Haven't seen the cartoon in ages. Mike Lynch said, I had some of the toys. They were cool, but I remember the attachments wearing out fast and constantly falling off. I remember watching the show, but nothing stuck with me like the most popular cartoons of the era. So Wizard Podcast said, I absolutely love the cartoon, the toys, but the bigger sets were really expensive. I had the main 3 guys, a couple of the cheaper add-on sets, and no villains, and then the line ended. And another one of our favorite folks, Agent I, from over on the James Bond podcast, Joseph Iliff, said, I love that you could configure the accessories creatively, just like in the cartoon. On the show, they would mix up the accessories, vehicles, and characters depending on the needs of the story. It was different from any other action figure line at the time. And I think that about says it all, that they were kind of expensive. They really focused on the big 3 guys in the accessories packs, not so much on the villains. And gosh, if you think about the competition in 87.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Joe Transformers are dominating. He-Man is super strong, no pun intended. Turtles are just coming on in a big way. Yeah, Centurions, they kind of fall into that. Remember Brave Star? Like Brave Star was a cool toy,
Yeah,
but it
yeah.
just
Cartoon was good too. I thought.
Yeah, another great cartoon. Just
You had a horse that transformed and then had a big shotgun.
You can't go wrong with that formula.
No. 30-30, baby.
All right. It's June of 1987. Maybe the time frame brings back memories. Maybe Centurions brings back a memory. We will start with Delvin, who has often reminded us he has no memory of the 80s with the exception of the Transformers.
Yeah, not really. But 87, I was 10, so I was close to starting middle school, right? Like, not close. Like, I was in elementary school. And so the one random thing that I remembered is that I wasn't the key participant, but we did this play about Abigail Adams. And, you know, I can't remember what, I'm going to have to look it up. The point of the play was Abigail Adams would write all these letters to these important historical figures at the time. And one of my classmates, her name was Daphina Cooper, who I had the biggest crush on back in the day. She was like the lead person of the play, and she got to sing all of these songs and stuff. So it was cool. I'm gonna look up that. Yeah, she did us like I remember she Alexander Hamilton, right? He's the one that lost to Aaron Burr in that duel. Like
I think so. I'm no expert.
Oh, Alexander Hamilton.
Well, in real life, there were no werewolves, but yes. So she wrote a letter to him, and then I just remember it was like, "And watch out for Aaron Burr. He could prove to be unpleasant. Sincerely yours, Abigail Adams." Why do I remember this? I have no idea. But I was about 10 years old when this happened. So someone is gonna hear that and be like, "I remember that play." But
I think Manuel, that guy who did Hamilton versus Burr, probably remembered that play.
Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Lin-Manuel, yes, yeah. I'm not saying
yes.
He probably doesn't, but
you never know.
He left out the werewolf part. So
yes, he did. Yeah. Whoa.
Someone had to pick up his slack and fix all that.
Yeah. See, I wish they would teach that to kids these days
as history. Yeah. Anyway,
history,
Pat,
we should move on.
Pat, what school play were you in, or do you have a Centurions memory?
Well, Jared, the school play I was actually in a school play back then. Earlier on, not in '87, it was earlier on, but I was one of the kids in The Music Man that our high school did. So I remember those days fondly, being part of that play and singing and some show tunes along that way. But the memory I have for June of 1987, we're just finishing up my freshman year of high school. June is done in my area where I live. There's always a big thing that I live where Mercury Marine, some people may know that as the boat company. That's my hometown is Mercury, is the headquarters of Mercury Marine.
And so they really help keep the town afloat.
They do, definitely. You know, they don't sink it. They just keep it up.
Without their leadership, the whole place would be rudderless.
Yes. It would just be lost up on the sea and just nowhere to go. But they do a big thing for walleye fishing. It's called Walleye Weekend. It's a big walleye fishing tournament, and they have it at our park, and it's really huge. And so it just brings me back to memories of riding my bike from where I lived 30 minutes away, and just riding my bike all that way to go to this park where this big festival is going on. It's a big festival, music, food, people, and just fun. Good time.
Well, June of 1987 is about the time we departed for Germany. I don't know if I ever mentioned I lived in Germany on this show or not, but I think that has a lot to do actually with why I didn't get so plugged in, no pun intended, with Centurions. I think that's why I found a toy on the secondary market, because the military stores, the BX and PX system in Germany, they really only carry like the most popular stuff and then the occasional side stuff. And so Centurions was not something they stacked a lot. They stacked a lot of what we talked about before: G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, things like that. But like I said, I do remember getting one on the secondary market, probably at the thrift shop on base there where we lived in Germany. But aside from that, I had very limited Centurions exposure. I just knew I liked it, and I knew my neighbor, my buddy Steve, he had the Ray guy, the water guy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I knew anybody that had Ace McCloud aside from you, Pat. So yeah, they were hard to come by as a kid. They were there, but like they didn't show the cartoon there because again, we had one channel, and that one channel had carried everything. There's only a couple of hours for cartoons in there, and of course, they picked the more popular ones of the era. So yeah, it's an interesting. A lot of these sub toy lines of the '80s are still very fascinating to me because they had a real rarity to me because I just didn't see them enough, and then that's definitely why I was drawn to Centurions and many of the other what we might call B team toys.
Yeah,
you guys might have noticed my son just came in and delivered Taco Bell.
Ooh, that's a good son.
That's a good boy. All right. That's going to bring us to the end of this part of the show. We're going to take a podcast promo break, and when we come back, going to talk some ads. So start looking at those ads, folks, and tell us what you like in the Centurions book. Okay, guys, welcome back from the break. It is time to get into segment 2. You know what segment 2 is? What's segment 2, Delvin?
It's the segment that we like to call Add It Up. Yes. I didn't even look at the script on that.
You don't have to.
Add it up.
Add it up. Add it up. Add it up.
Got to see what you got. Oh, Jason Keene reminds us in the chat that Ernest Goes to Camp came out in June of '87. And man, I have got to take my Ernest. I have every Ernest movie now. I've never seen a single one of them. I got to turn that into a podcast somehow. Jared's mini podcast series of going through the Ernest movies. Anyways, let me get back to this.
You call it Ernest for Ernest.
Yeah, just being frank and earnest.
Yeah.
All right, now it's time for us to scan through the featured issue of Centurions, #1 from 1987, for the top ads that stood out to us in our segment that we call, of course, Delvin already said it. Delvin can splice it, or Pat can splice it in here. All right, guys, what ads are we going to pick? I can't remember who went first last time, but Pat has, I have all the confidence in the world look on his face.
Oh, what are we doing now? Ads? I'm sorry.
Delvin, which ad are you
Comments.
picking?
Sorry.
You just lost your window, Pat. Delvin, what ad are you going to pick?
First, I just want to mention that I did get the Frank and Ernest thing. It was the cartoon strip from back in the day, Frank and Ernest. I'm with you there. All right. The ad that I'm going to choose is, I'm looking here, and I'll go with a house ad from Will Robin Die Tonight? The first adventures, or the first of the new adventures of the Batman, with Max Allen Collins, I'm assuming writing, Chris Warner, I'm assuming penciling, and Mike DiCarlo, I'm assuming inking. And they were advertising for Batman 408. And the question that I have is, good grief, why in the world did they have this killing Robin fetish going on?
Oh, it was hot in the 80s, man.
It's so weird. It's like, could you stop it? Especially when, like, you look back and people are like, man, like, wasn't it dangerous for Batman to basically have like a preteen out there in bright clothes jumping around in the night getting shot at? And they were like, nah, he was trained. It's okay. It's okay. And then in the 80s, like, this kid gonna die. Like, what? Like, what? Why is this a selling point? Like, come on. Like, Batman's a grown-up. Like, it makes more sense for the people to go, no, all the time Robin. And heck, that even continued into the 90s and 2000s-ish, to where, crap, who was that editor? Or was it Dan Didio? That he was just like, I freaking hate Dick Grayson. I want him to die. Like, why? Dick Grayson is awesome.
He's one of the best characters that they ever got, man.
He is one of the best characters that they've ever gotten. But like, yeah, that would be the reason. I look at it and I'm just like, I don't understand the why in the heck they want. Which Robin was this anyway? Was this
7?
Yeah.
Wasn't it Jason?
It was right at the cusp there. I need someone in the chat to bail us out on that one. It's right at the cusp of.
I think it's Jason Todd.
Tony Pennington with a dark comment of kid could dodge bullets but not a crowbar. Okay. since Jared, it has a good son who is occupied with the Taco Bell. I will take the reins of transitioning it to Petronimus there, and he's going to mention his favorite ad.
Well, Delvin, I'm glad you asked, and I am going to choose. Jared probably already knows the one. It's the offshoot of one of America's greatest heroes, but it is going to be America Defense. You've had several years of G.I. Joe out there, and so now we have kind of the alternative. If you can't buy a G.I. Joe, maybe you can buy these American Defense toys. And so you have the 3 3/4 guys with the swivel action arms and all that, and just kind of different kind of configurations of G.I. Joes. And it's at the Kmart. And who doesn't like shopping at the Kmart? Man, I always love shopping at the Kmart, and I always would want to get the sub from Kmart. I don't know. Does anybody have a Kmart? Everybody remember the Kmart sub and how delicious that was? Oh man,
I don't remember. I don't remember the sub. I remember going to Kmart. We used to have a Kmart, several in Birmingham, but I don't remember the sub. I am laughing at fake ass G.I. Joe. As soon as I saw the American Defense, I'm like, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh, Kmart brand Joes all day. And Pat, I was going to pick the same ad, so I'm not even going to back up off of it because when I look at this ad, when I saw it in 87, this was on the back of a few comics in 87. Guys like me and you, and even Delvin, he wasn't collecting G.I. Joe, but he had the same instinct, right? Like fake Joes, or as Jim Meal said in the chat, faux Joes, or G.I. foes, as some of us will call it. Completely laughable, like, oh, this is a bunch of knockoff crap, right? Now, at the age of going on 48, if I found these at a yard sale,
I'd buy them.
I'd be so excited.
Yeah.
I'd be like, yes.
I know. Before I was like, no, I can't get those. I'm too stingy. I can't get those G.I. Joe.
I found a few of the
they're the GoBots, the Transformers, Delvin.
Yeah, they are definitely the GoBot version. I don't know. GoBots might be a step up from
this. Yeah, I would say that too. But
I think it was Leonard, and Jim will correct me in the chat if I'm wrong, that also did some, maybe they're called the Core or something like that.
The Corpse.
And I found some of the Core recently, and it was kind of exciting. So I'm to the point now where I think knockoff versions are
fun.
Cool. And I don't think I've ever seen one of these American Defense guys in the secondary market. I would be thrilled to find some, though, and add them to my collection.
Mm-hmm. But come on, have you tried the Kmart sub?
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love a good Kmart
delicious
sub? And then Kmart sort of transitioned into like an alliance with Little Caesars, like in the late 90s, early 2000s. They started having Little Caesars in every Kmart, which is also kind of cool.
Really?
Yeah.
I guess I was off the Kmart train at that point.
It was late in there. It was in the death throes of Kmart.
Oh, okay. So they must have changed it back then.
I mean, as you well know, you can either be on the train or off the train. And I was off the train.
I got my first CD player from the Kmart. It was a blue light special.
Now that you mention, yes, obviously, Jared, but now that you mention it, I think I probably mentioned this a time before in the 7+ years I've been on Longbox Crusade, but I got my first Dragon Warrior. I put it on layaway at Kmart. And I remember being so proud when I got that thing and brought it home and started playing it. I was like, oh my goodness, I bought this. An adult purchase. It was like $30 for the game and everything.
Nice. For Dragon Warrior?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I know somebody who didn't have a subscription to Nintendo Power. I know this because Dragon Warrior 1, they actually sent it out with the magazine at one point.
Ooh, no, I was not that fancy. One of my classroom buddies, Maurice McLean, he would get Nintendo Power.
Oh, I wasn't that fancy either. You just made friends with a kid who had it, so you sit by him at the lunch table.
Yeah. Yeah.
How cool is that though, that you could actually put on layaway, and you would kind of save up for your thing that you wanted on layaway, like
just rolling up there one day with I'd like to add another 65 cents to that. And that's how you did it, man.
Every week or so, I drop about $3 or $4. And I remember one time there was like a coupon or something for the game. And I remember going up, I was like, hey, there's a coupon. Did I get that like money off? And they were like, yes. And I was like, yes.
And that's why Delvin and I are friends. Coupons. Oh, goodness. Good times on those ads there, folks. Now, if you have a favorite ad that you'd like to tell us about, you know the deal. Longbox Crusade, X, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, other places I probably haven't thought of. You can let us know. 707-532-5269 is another place you can call us and be like, hey, let me tell you about my favorite ad in the book, and we'll play it on the show. And while we wait for that call, we're going to go into what the script tells me is segment 3, which is way back in time. June 1987.
So take me away. I don't mind, but you gotta promise me I'll be back in time.
I need a second verse. I'm still chewing.
Gotta be back in time. I don't know any other words.
Yeah.
1999.
All
All right.
I wanna do.
All right, Pat, shut up. And like how I encouraged Delvin to sing till Pat shut up. So unfair. Okay, guys, let's get into the major news stories. Let's go back in time. 1987, it's June. It's summertime. What major news stories caught your eye? We'll start with Delvin.
Man, the first one, June 2nd, the Mariners draft Ken Griffey Jr.
Seems like a good move.
Yeah.
That guy's going places.
Absolutely. They called him the kid, and he was an undoubted Hall of Famer. He probably would have been considered one of the greatest players of all time. I know this is your team, Jared, so I apologize. He had, when he went to the Cincinnati Reds, that's when his career kind of derailed a little bit because he just couldn't stay healthy for whatever reason. But then, like, you know, he's still an all-timer. And, like, the thing that I think most people remember about him besides his sterling defense is he just had one of the sweetest swings in the game. It was just clean and pure, and just he could hit for power, he could hit for average, and that was just one of the many things that made Ken Griffey Jr. so special.
Played defense well, too.
Yeah, I mentioned that.
Oh, did you? I'm sorry, I was eating. My bad. I really should pay attention on the show.
I say some important. Oh, I was about to.
Welcome to the live version.
We're alive. I'm not going to say that.
All right, there's a lot of good stuff to pick from in here, and there's a lot that are very tailor made for Jared. So if you don't be shy about taking a Jared one, Pat, because I got backups in June of 1987. So what are you going to take?
Oh well, I'll take one from June 6th, and I don't know how many we're gonna do, but there's one that stands out there. It is June 6th, New Zealand actor who's also known for. Oh, you know what? We don't even have the actor's name put in there, so never mind.
No, I was wondering where we were going with that.
Yeah. So never mind. Anyway, we'll take another one here, and you know, I'm going to take one. I'll take this one, and I'm going to steal it from Jared probably.
There's plenty in here for me, so don't
okay. So I'm going to take June 27th, The Living Daylights, the 15th James Bond film, first film to star Timmy Dalton, that is, not Timmy D Nuts, but Timmy D premieres in London. So this premieres in London, The Living Daylights, on June 27th.
Yes.
The Living Daylights.
Yes, Living Daylights coming out in the summer of 87 as we were moving to Germany. Is the whole reason that it's the only Bond movie since I started going to the movies as a child that I have not seen on the big screen, but I plan on fixing that. Anyways, I will go ahead and take June 5th, where Prince did the Trust Rock Gala. And if you think, Prince is pretty awesome, which I do, listen to the lineup that he brought into Trust Rock Gala. Eric Clapton, George Harrison, Ringo Starr, Elton John, Phil Collins, Jeff Lynne, all at Wembley Stadium. Okay, so it wasn't Prince. It was the Prince of England.
I was gonna say I put that in there. I'm like, is Jared gonna think it's Prince? But is
I
it?
think it's Prince. No, I knew what it was, but I was playing along.
So
No, that's
Pat, I
Great
looked.
lineup.
Oh, sorry, Pat. I looked up New Zealand actor Boba Fett, and it
Yeah.
says it's either Temuera Morrison or Daniel Logan.
Oh, I can't
One or the
remember.
other. You guys are the Star Wars fans. You'll have
Ever
to
the
tell
younger one is. It's because if he was born in '87 and he was in Attack of the Clones, it's
Wait, yep. Then it was Daniel Logan.
Okay.
probably.
Yeah, but Boba Fett, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. So he was the kid.
He was the kid version. Yeah.
He was the kid version. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think. That's what was confusing me, because when I was looking this up on the website, I was looking it up. It was the adult picture of him. So I'm like, I don't know who this person is. I know the kid, but I don't know the.
Oh. I know I already took my turn, but I think we've all, if you watch any kind of documentary or history of it or anything about the 80s, you always get the clip of Ronald Reagan saying, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." That happened on June 12th, 1987. That also happened in this month. That very famous quote. So a lot of big things happening. James Bond and
A lot of cool things.
the ending of the Cold War is starting to happen. And man, and Susan Lucci lost another day.
The 8th time.
For the 8th time she lost. I'm sorry, Susan. We love
When do you
here at
give
Longbox.
up?
I love her
Yes,
tenacity.
Yeah.
She finally won it there. And then I'll also mention that on June 17th, Kendrick Lamar was born. Like I gleaned that because Pat didn't put the name in, but he said
okay.
He likes to play
then
these
that's another
games,
one,
make us figure it out. You know,
it becomes a trivia round.
From the songs you got.
if you listen to the last episode, which I think was a Blue Beetle, he did the same thing, and we had to figure out it was Steph Curry. Who was
Yes.
It's a game now. It's a game inside the game. All right, let's get into the top 3 movies for June of 1987. And good news, I'm looking at the list, and I've actually heard of all of them. We'll go with number 3. I'll start at number 3 and let somebody else work our way up. Number 3 was The Witches of Eastwick, which was the dark comedy with Jack Nicholson, I do believe.
I believe
was
so,
in that with like Michelle Pfeiffer and
Pfeiffer.
Cher, maybe.
I can't say if I believe that or not.
That's funny. I remember there's like 3 ladies. There's 3 leading ladies. They're all fairly famous actors in their own right, but I can't remember all. People in the chat will remember. And Jack Nicholson. And yeah, it made $63 million, which back in 1987 could buy you Canada. So what was the number 2 movie, Pat? We'll save number 1 for Doug.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. The number 2 movie is, it's hard to reach. It's hard to get to. It's The Untouchables. That had, that was to this day, I have never seen that movie. I know.
I don't think I've seen it either, Pat, but that's not nearly as impactful.
But it had a lot of good actors in it. And, if I remember right, it's a movie about gangsters and catching.
It's all about gangsters. Catching out the phone.
Yep.
It's a based on a true story.
I get my knowledge of gangsters from Geraldo.
Yep.
So that's all I know.
Go to the vault.
Yep. And there was nothing there. But it was a good time. It was a good family time. We all were around eating our TV dinners, watching what was going to come out of the vault.
Anyway, Kevin Costner starred in The Untouchables. And you know who played Al Capone? Was Robert De Niro. And a funny side story about that I just recently learned. I saw an interview with Bob Hoskins. Brian De Palma directs Untouchables, I'm pretty sure. And he goes to Hoskins and he says, "Hey, we want to hire you for this movie, The Untouchables." He said, "If we can't get Robert De Niro, we'd like you to be the backup guy." He's like, "Oh, I got a kind of busy schedule. I don't know." He's like, "I'll make it worth your while, I promise." Right? He said, "Well, I think he even said to give some kind of retainer, whether it works out or not." And Hoskins is telling the story. He's like, "In Hollywood, you rarely ever see that." He says, "So the movie comes out and they get De Niro, and he goes, and lo and behold, I get a check in the mail for $300,000." And he goes, "I called De Palma. I'm like, what's this for?" He's like, "Hey, you were ready to go, but we didn't use you. But this is your compensation. I appreciate you be ready to go." And he said, just let me know if there's any other movies you want me to not star in. That was pretty funny. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, Untouchable was great. And just to add a fact on a fact, our old roommate, Sean Connery, God rest his soul, it's the only movie he won an Academy Award for. He won the Best Supporting Actor Academy Award for The Untouchables.
What was his name before he changed it?
Chris from BTO, that book goes up timely. That's the movie that line is from. What was it before you changed it?
See, I didn't know from not watching that. I didn't know. I always just laughed at it.
Same.
Anyways, I've gone. You're gonna have to edit a lot of that out, Pat. All right, let's get to the number one movie. Delvin, I have to think you've seen this one.
Pretty sure I have.
It's almost like if you're an American.
Yeah, like the fancy word ubiquitous might come in. It's like, if you haven't seen it, like you feel like you've seen it because they're so quotable. You've had to see clips from it in any event. It made almost $100 million. It's an action movie starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. Predator is the movie.
Good old Predator.
Predator. That's a Transformer, ain't it?
Sort of. The Predacons.
Yeah.
Since they're kind of jungle-based beasts, may have been Predator inspired.
I didn't put that together, but you may be right. Predator, what an absolute classic.
Completely random and not to do with the subject. I was just randomly thinking because I happened to see something on Star Trek about the Borg, and then just randomly, I was like, oh, that was short for cyborg.
Don't you hate it when you're the last to know something like that?
It's only been 35 years. And I was sitting there tying my shoes
all right.
Try to use that for that. I was this year old when
it just pops like, oh yeah, oh.
Since we're going far afield and admitting things like that, I was in college before I realized that the Pittsburgh Steelers was like steal. Like I thought it was like they stole things because the Pittsburgh Pirates was the baseball team. I thought it just went hand in hand with the Steelers. And I was in college before I saw the spelling and the light bulb went. So anyways, let's get to the top three songs. Good luck editing that, Pet. Let's get to the top three songs from Billboard at this time of June 1987. Reverse order, Delvin, number three, please.
Okay, number three song is Head to Toe from Lisa and Cult Jam.
I think
I love you from head to toe. I know. Okay, I was wondering if y'all knew that or not.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
I think that's the exact lyrics, actually.
It is.
Pat, hit us with that number two.
I'll go ahead and go with number two is Always by Atlantic Star. And man, yesterday when I was writing these down, I started singing this song and it's girl, you are to me more than a woman will be. I dedicate my love to you always.
It's a duet.
It was like I was like, but Pat did, and he moved me so much I didn't even want to sing anymore. It was that song also a classic.
And we both know
that our love will grow and forever. Jared.
That's Atlantic Star, not to be confused with
Pacific
I
Star.
lost my own joke. Edwin Starr, who did War. What is it good for?
I like mine, Pacific Star.
Either one works. Let's get to number one. And just set me free. Why don't you, babe? Because number one is You Keep Me Hanging On by Kim Wilde, which is actually a remake song, but it definitely had a nice little 80s upgrade. Well, I don't know about upgrade. You might like the original version, but you know what I'm saying. It's got that 80s pop sound to it. It was a lot of fun. Kim Wilde, Keep Me Hanging On at number one. So keep your feet on the ground and keep reaching for the stars.
What's that? Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. I got confused.
Well, that brings us to the end of this part of the show. Let's get to the feedback part of the show called Crusaders Comments, which, of course, we're thrilled to kick off comments with special shout-outs to Crusaders Club members. These are folks that are getting it done. They're contributing to what we do, giving us lavish lifestyles over here at Longbox Crusade. They enjoy priority seating as podcast guests and get early access to special episodes, voting to help determine show content, backstage access to live recordings, and so much more. These are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show. Clockwise, Pat.
Well, Alan W. Wright.
I was just impressed that it's numbered now. Who numbered it?
That is a salute to Captivating Kathy Bright. That was her idea. She said that way you can always compare it to the number of Patreons and know if your list is right or not. And I was like, that's brilliant. So salute Captivating Kathy Bright for that idea.
MVP.
Numbering things could cause organization. Brilliant. Angelica Wolf. Ow.
Auburn Elvis joining us in the chat.
Bill Beer.
Billy D. Also in the chat.
Bradley Dello.
Braxton Underwood.
Clinton Robeson.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins. Battlewagon.
Eric Hodges.
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
Gerald Green.
It's a show. Heinz K.
Jason Keene in the chat. Or is it actually Jason? I don't know.
Either or. Jason Lady.
Jeff Polier.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
Jim Meal in the chat.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Kathy Bright, MVP, in the chat.
Matt and Lizzie Paso. Matt in the chat.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devins.
Paul Hicks.
Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington. Chat.
And the one and only Toronto Cop.
If we miss anyone on the list, we apologize. Keep in mind, we record these episodes well in advance of release. So if you're a recent edition, we'll add you soon, but no worries. You can let us know we missed you by sending your hate-filled emails to contact@longboxcrusade.com. We'll get it straightened out. As a reminder, you can become a Crusaders Club by going to patreon.com/longboxcrusade for just $1 a month. You'll get access to the amazing world of the Crusaders Club. Come and check it out. And if times are tough and you don't have that $1 a month, we understand. It'd be great if you just wrote a review or dropped a comment or something like that on wherever you listen to our show. We'd really appreciate it. All right, not too long ago, we covered on episode 45, I believe Delvin brought a kind of modern, probably the most modern comic we've ever had on Longbox Crusade. It was from April of 2023. It was called Deceased War of the Undead Gods. And let me tell you, the response to that was tepid. And here we may have only got 4 shares and retweets, but man, they are some of the best we've ever had. So Pat, kick off the list of who was sharing and retweeting that one.
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked, and I'm going to kick this off with Coffee and Comics.
Woo. Love that word, tepid, Jared. Angry Rocket Studios.
Serpy Matt.
And the Dame Deborah Smith. Devin, please make sure you tell her hello for us. And thank you for sharing, and retweeting, and give her a big hug.
Tell her she was 25% of the advertisers of our Lab show.
That's almost half. I will let her know.
And that's all right. We appreciate everybody who helps out every little bit, and it means a lot to us. All joking aside, it really does. As always, we'd love to hear from you. I know you've been waiting to hear that phone number one more time, and I know the boys want to sing it in the most sensual way possible. So give us a call. Leave us a voicemail, 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone. Always.
Come on, girl. You know you want to pick up that phone. Just pick it up. Hit the digits. You just got to call
Girl,
us.
you are to me.
Just call us, baby. You know I'm missing you.
That an
Tell me how much
should
you like my
be.
crusade.
Dedicate
Let us
this
know
call
your comments, your
to
likes,
you
and your shares.
always.
Man, tell me your deep thoughts.
Oh, we got a boy band in the making. Oh, my goodness. Seriously, thanks to all those who shared. It always means the world to us. We appreciate your friendship and spreading the word about our podcast. And that is the show. Check out the website, www.longboxcrusade.com, where the entire history of this podcast is stored. We are over 8 years of history. You can find it there with links, photos, you name it. It might be there. I don't want to make any promises. But before we sorry about that. I want to thank Pat and Delvin for joining me on this episode. Before we go, let's find out where the listeners can find us on the internet. Delvin.
You can find me on Twitter at DEE_RAY1977. Instagram at Delvin Ray, where if I get 500 more followers, I'll post more thirst traps. Pat.
Ooh. Well, you can find me on the Twitter at Christatos01. Jared, where can you be found?
I can be found at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram. You can check out my artworks at www.theyardsaleartist.com. You can also find me at Rodeo's Mexican Restaurant every Tuesday night in Dothan for Taco Tuesdays, where hard shells are $1 and soft tacos are $1.50. It's a pretty good deal, and we're not even paid advertiser on that. That's Rodeo's, Ross Clark Circle in Dothan. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Longbox Crusade. We hope you enjoyed this memory lane of 80s comics and 80s toys. And if you got questions or comments, you know how to do it. It's Longbox Crusade X, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And until next time, please take care. Join us on the next episode as we continue our crusade to
Read them all.
To the extreme.
Wait, no, that's all right. Let's give some stuff away. Thank you guys in the chat. You guys have been a blast.
If I missed anybody, speak up. I got Matt Passo, MVP, Jim Neal, Auburn Elvis, Jason Keene, Tony Pennington, Billy Dunleavy, Chris at BT on Backbook,
Let roll.
and Courtney Holland. Did I miss anybody?
I don't know. Chat, you are to me more than a chat should be, and a dedicate.
So, how many folks is that, Delvin?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
And again, you probably said it. I just noticed Chris at BT on Batbooks. You get him?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So number 1 through 9, Courtney still around? 1 through 9. While she's doing that, let's see what we're going to send this winner. The winner chicken dinner. Hopefully you guys have been following our Sherlock Holmes content. I found a pretty cool hardcover illustrated classics of Holmes.
Ooh, nice.
Out in the wild. Pretty cool. You will win that. Courtney says it's number 9. Delvin's got his pencil in a random spot. And he's going to tell us what the number 9 winner is.
9 would be who I put the marker on first. That would be Kathy Bright, the MVP.
Captain Kathy Bright. She will now have multiple copies of Sherlock Holmes. She does a really good job of reading those.
Yeah, those inserts.
Kathy, you can use these to cheat because these are like the condensed stories with the pictures and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So you can cheat with these. All right, let's go to our Patreon list, which I just pulled up, which I think is now sitting at 46.
Yep.
According to the numbering, yes.
And so we can do a number 1 through 46 on that one, please, Courtney. And for this one, we've just started, as you may have noticed on our podcast network, a Indiana Jones and the Comics Crusade, and people are really liking that. And I just this week found out in the wild the Marvel Super Special Magazine version of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I thought, hey, let's get that away
Oh, that's cool.
on the show. Very nice, classic 1980s.
Oh man, that's a good one.
That's a good. You've got that one, Pat. I'm pretty sure.
I think I do. Yeah, I think you got me that too. Got it my way.
So, who wants the magazine-sized Indiana Jones?
Man, that's a good one.
She said 43.
Yes.
Sticking it to me.
Yeah, Jason said, so you guys want to review Showgirls at 50, right? No. God, no.
Did he say do we want to, or like we're willing to do it for the money?
No, we're not.
Okay.
I would actively encourage people to stay away. So bad.
All right. I've got the winner is one of our more recent Patreon members, Mr.
Cool.
Eric Hodges.
Thank you.
Mr. Eric Hodges, you have won a. This is in pretty good shape, by the way, for
Yeah, it looks nice.
1980 something. 81. 1981 Raiders of the Lost Ark magazine size is yours, Eric Hodges, and the Adventures of Sherlock Holmes Illustrated Classics is Kathy's. Thank you guys so much. Kathy in the chat. Very good. Very good.
Courtney says that she will be 43 on the 25th. So congratulations. I mean, happy early birthday, Courtney.
Happy early birthday.
Happy early birthday.
Kathy said we called him Dr. Jones. I love it. All right. I think that's all the content we have for you guys for today. Thanks for hanging in with me as we try to get that all the bells and whistles fixed at the beginning of the show. But I think we pulled one together, gentlemen.
Yeah, we did.
We did
a good
it.
job. Woo.
Absolutely.
We couldn't have done it without the chat.
That's right.
Absolutely
the chat
not.
is so cool on helping us get the trivias nailed down and just being very cool. Thank you guys so much. Well, I got you here. I'll let you know the next time you can find us. Delvin and I will be here on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Come out to play. And there's a decent chance that on Wednesday, not this coming Wednesday, on the 14th, we're doing a Crusadeness and a Comics to Console Crusade. But we don't give the sneak previews of Crusadeness out.
No.
Even to the Patreon. But the next Wednesday, Pat and I believe Matt Passo and I, and perhaps Lizzie Passo, will all be talking G.I. Joe.
Ooh.
And we might very well share that with the super secret Patreon folks. So be on the lookout for that if you want to get in the chat and talk G.I. Joe with us on Wednesday, the 21st.
Fun.
Cool stuff. Yeah. All right. Well, bye.
All right.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining us, everyone.
We're gonna act frozen.